Cinema 3D Super Tournament.
Bounce, bounce, come on baby, bounce, bounce, come on baby, I don't care about a thing.
Alright guys, welcome back to the LG Cinema 3D GSL Super Tournament. I am Wolf, and joined with me are two Dark Templar. They're actually going to become an Archon later on tonight after the cast. They've told me so. Now, I wanted to make a little announcement for those of you guys who use mobile phones. The GSL has, on the gomtv.net website, if you go to m.gomtv.net, actually, I found out about this right before the cast. If you go there on your mobile phone, you can watch VODs, as long as you paid for your premium ticket. Go there. Check it out. m.gomtv.net. You can watch your VODs. You can look up all the results. There's like a calendar there. It's like the TL calendar, except it's just only GomTV events, and you just look at everything, and it's awesome, and I definitely recommend going there. But first up, we're going to have Huk versus Polt today. I'm pretty excited about that match. But remember, later on we've got Nada, so those are, of course, the highlight matches of tonight. Can't forget the other players, like the Zenex players. But we are going to have Huk versus Polt. First up, Huk told me in the makeup room that he was feeling pretty confident about today's matches. He wasn't nervous at all. And we're going to take a look at the results from yesterday's matches, actually, really quick here. Startail Ace was 2-0'd by Marine King after Marine King held the first game quite nicely. Leenock Foyu takes out Clyde 2-0. Slayer's Alicia just barely edges out Beyond in a pretty close series there. And Maka Prime 2-0's SC Foyu in quite a surprising series. SC I thought was the better player there, but Maka really showing us some awesome stuff. Today's matches, we have PoltPrime versus Huk, as I said. Zenex Line versus Zenex Kirix. Startail's Virus versus OGS Nada. OGS Top versus Choya Foyu. So just one mirror match in there today. Also a team mirror match for Zenex versus Zenex. Actually, I take it back. Virus versus Nada is also a mirror match. What am I saying? It's just that Nada is so different than everyone else. It doesn't feel like a mirror. It's like a different kind of Terran. He's his own separate race. He's the fourth race of StarCraft 2. A lot of people talk about the Xel'Naga, but they should be talking about Nada. So those are today's matches. Now, I'm really kind of curious to see how today's match between Polt and Huk turns out. I told Huk, you know, I've heard stories. I don't watch Huk stream that much, but I do watch it every now and then, and I've seen him play Polt, and he's lost to Polt on the ladder a lot, and I've heard people talking about how Polt has been beating Huk on the ladder a lot. So I asked him about that. How do you feel about losing to him on the ladder a lot of the time? And he said, well, ladder's different. And I said, it's very true. Ladder is very different from actual tournament play. The GSL, you're sitting in your player booth, you're concentrated, you're focused. Everything comes down to this moment. Your PVT at that moment gets honed. And so ladder is obviously a different beast. And Huk said he feels confident, so I'm really interested to see what kind of builds he's got planned for today. I'm sure he's practiced a lot of specific builds against Polt. Now, Polt is one of those players who likes to do timing attacks, and he likes to stick with two bases. He doesn't often take a third base or really transition to a later game. That's just kind of Polt's style, as you guys have seen. And a lot of Prime players are like that, not all of them, of course. Marine King, for example, definitely likes to go into the later game. Let's take a look at our players. Here is PoltPrime himself. You can see his GSL ranking is 19th, which is actually pretty high, given that Polt hasn't had the best results overall. But look at him, he's been in Code S for forever, ever since Code S has been introduced. In the first two seasons of Code S, he actually had a chance of going down, but he managed to stick through, didn't lose on the up and down matches, then made it to the round of 16 in May, so he's of course still in Code S currently. There's the man himself, wearing his Prime jacket. Saw him come into the studio today, and he didn't really talk to anyone, just went right into his booth, got ready, got focused. He's a force to be reckoned with. He's improved a lot recently. I think he was kind of lackluster in the past, but I think he's getting better slowly over time. You know, he had a little bit of a slump, but his opponent, someone you all know and love, you may have heard of this guy. He is Chris Loranger, otherwise known as LiquidHuk. Loranger, I've been told by my producers how you actually pronounce it, because he's Canadian and sometimes there's some French, you know, influence in Canada. Actually, as far as I'm told, I was told once that Huk is American, but he lived in Canada, so I don't know exactly his heritage, but anyways, there he is. His results kind of speak for themselves. He hasn't been in the GSL as long as some other players, and his results aren't quite as good as some of those other players as well, but he's definitely been improving. Since getting to Korea, he's improved drastically. He's once basically the head of the ladder in North America and did extremely well in the ladder and in North American tournaments, then joined the team Liquid, came over here and has been training really hard, and the improvement has really shown. So I'm really proud of Huck. Been following him for a long time. Now here's some more results of these guys, some more info. Now recently, Polt has been crushing the Protosses. He's 4-0 right now against the Protosses he's faced. He hasn't faced, crazy Protosses, although he did face MC and 2-0'd MC, but I think that was a little bit of an unusual situation. MC played a little bit overconfident, but you can't knock it. I mean, he beat MC. That's a pretty big deal. Now, recently versus Terran, we haven't seen that many games from Huck. He's at 50%, winning one game versus MVP and losing one game to MVP as well. So, as far as I could see anyway. There may be more stuff cut off my screen because that tends to happen. But producers are telling me he won against yeah, just don't worry about it, guys. I'm sorry. Some of that stuff gets cut off. I try to read it all because I want to give you guys all the info, but I can't see it. So set 1 is going to be on Crevasse, set 2 is going to be on Zelnog Caverns, and set 3 will be on Dual Sight. Polt eliminated Terminus Re, and like I said, he doesn't really like to play long games. He doesn't like to play 3-basing, 4-basing games, so it makes sense for him to eliminate a map like Terminus Re, where inevitably it may reach the late game, and if you're not comfortable, you're not confident playing in that late game kind of setup, it's a map you might want to eliminate. Huck eliminated Zelnog Fortress, which I find really interesting. The rush distance on that map is pretty small, so that may be why, if you may want to play a longer macro-type style. That's the only real reason I could see that someone would want to eliminate that kind of map. The architecture is pretty plain, it's very wide open. Good for pros, good for Terrans, pretty even, I'd say. So the map is loading now. Who's going to take game 1? Will it be the Korean Polt, or will it be the foreigner Huck? We'll see in just a second.
PoltPrime.WE versus LiquidHuk.
Alright, down here in the bottom left, our red Terran player, a member of the team Prime, has been doing really well versus Protoss recently. He is
PoltPrime.WE.
His opponent, a foreigner from Canada, or so I'm told. A very top Protoss indeed he is.
LiquidHuk.
Of course, Huck is on the team Team Liquid. If you go to teamliquid.net, for those of you guys who have never visited that website before, I don't know why you haven't, because you should. It's actually one of the best foreign websites for StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2, if not the best. It's got a ton of good info there, a lot of info on the calendar, all sorts of events you can find there. You can post in the forums, find out what other people are talking about. It's a great site. Definitely recommend checking it out if you haven't already, although there's probably like 2 of you. Polt says, wait! Calling after Marine King Prime and Maka. I'm pretty sure he wants to catch up with his teammates who have advanced to the round of 16. He wants to join them. And it looks like Huck is going to go for a 15 Nexus, as you guys see. Now on Crevasse, that's not uncommon. It's a very, very easy expansion to take. It's a backdoor expansion, meaning you can take it and your opponent can't attack you with ground forces. There's no way for him to get there unless he walks all the way through your main, which is relatively easily defended, especially if you have got that ramp set up properly. Now, Polt is going to be going for a fast command center himself, but he has to get that barracks first. Wants to get the orbital command up. There are a lot of ways you can die to a Protoss if he does almost anything if you go CC first, so going CC first versus Protoss is very risky. You do see it every now and then, but it's much safer to get that barracks up, and plus, you get those mules down when you make the barracks, and it ends up being worth it, despite the fact that you may not have that command center up just as quickly. You wouldn't really have as many SCVs as you would need to saturate it quite yet, so it's pretty good timing for that. There's the command. So the real strength of the Nexus first is that you get twice as many chrono boosts to get as many probes out as you can, so it really increases your probe production. And then your saturation, of course, comes into play as well. Huck taking that gas ASAP, wants to get his gas going. Look at that. Those probes lining up, getting ready to send their gas to that new Nexus. There goes the cybernetics core down. So Huck actually has decided to take that gas. Used to be a high-yield gas, but is no longer on this map. Huck may not know that, but pretty sure he does. I think he just wants to take that gas first. So here comes Polt Scout. He's going to run into the base, and Huck coming in at the same time is denied by some Marines. When he sees that many Marines, he's probably going to realize most likely you went for a fast command center. It's pretty common to see on this map. Seeing anything else would be very unusual. Now Polt sees his opponent went for a Nexus first. He's also going to see that the Cybernex core has just finished this. SCV is going to be able to stay alive a little bit longer. He's seen the one gas. What he wants to do here is stick around as long as he can. Try to see if Huk takes a second or third gas. So that'll be pretty telling as to what Huk's next moves might be. Meanwhile, as you can see, Polt just kind of adding some barracks. He's added his gases. Actually, he's added, similarly to Huk, he's added one gas in his main and one gas at his backdoor expansion. I think that, as far as I know, it's not labeled as such. It used to be a rich mineral or rich gas geyser, but no longer is. So I think these players just taking the backdoor gas just because I can't notice any unusual attributes. I'm trying to check to see if they have more gas than the other ones or anything like that, but they don't. So just, you know, a stylistic choice to pick those. Nothing real significant about it, although I was trying to find out if there were. So Polt getting a very fast stim upgrade from that tech lab. He's gone up to 3 barracks. Just starting to get those SCVs out. Now it looks like Huk is placing this forward pile and wants to put on a little bit of pressure before the Marauders are out. If you control your Stalkers properly, and if your opponent doesn't have a bunker, you can do a ton of damage, but it looks like Polt is reacting, making a bunker. Does suspect that something is up. And actually, Huk's Stalker is at the Zelnaga Watchtower, so he's not even going to be able to pressure with that right now. But back at home, he has added a ton of gateways. He's going up to 6 gates, so it looks like it may be a 6-gate timing attack. And if he executes this well, Polt may be in trouble if he just sticks with the one bunker. Timing here is crucial. He wants to attack before there are a significant amount of Marauders out, and on the other hand, wants to attack before Stim is done. When Stim finishes, things get pretty hairy because stimmed units just do so much damage, especially when some of those stimmed units are inside of a bunker and, you know, they're stimming and they're not even taking really any additional damage from that stim. So Polt is going to continue to wall us off. Now Huk just going to attack with the one Stalker at the rocks. Now that's not really going to trigger Polt to freak out. It may make him realize something might be going on, but just with the one Stalker, this is nice. He's going to move down, but if Huk traps him outside, which indeed he does, traps 3 of those Marauders outside, that's pretty huge. This may trigger Huk to actually follow through with the attack immediately. Nice control by Polt, though, pulling those Marauders back so they could actually be relatively defended by the high ground. Those rocks are starting to fall, but Polt hasn't reacted quickly enough. His second bunker is just now starting. He may not be able to hold this attack. Here comes Huk. He's going to want to force field behind those units. Actually force fielding the bunker a little bit, but allowing his Zealots to come in. A nice move by Huk, and now once the bunker falls, his units are just going to rush through here. And I think Polt is going to die here. He just doesn't have enough units. There are more units warping in all the time. Stim just isn't quite done. It's almost done. Huk needs to finish that bunker off, or at least attack here just a little bit longer. As soon as a few more Zealots get in, he should be fine. Because if his opponent doesn't have enough units, even if he has Stim, it just won't be enough. There's Stim finishing up, trying to stim those Marauders. They are being targeted down by Huk one by one. So wants to take out those Marauders first because the Marines just don't do as much damage. And actually, Huk looks like he has been thwarted here, at least temporarily. He's going to maybe warp in some more units. But Polt has hold the attack. That stim timing, very, very important. If it had been just a few seconds later, he definitely would not have held it. Now, Huk hasn't really been all-in with this. I mean, it's somewhat of an all-in attack when you commit to the 6 gateways, but if you don't attack again and you just kind of back up, he's done a little bit of damage. He's kind of traded armies a little bit. Polt hasn't been able to comfortably attack behind this either, so it's not really all-in by any means. Huk is going to attack again here, though, and nice little wall-up by Polt. Huk has a lot of Zealots, but I don't think they're going to be enough. The bunker does fall, but with good micro, I think Polt should be able to hold this. Remember, he does have Stim, even bringing some SCVs out to help out as well. And as the Zealots fall, the Marauders just do so much damage to those Stalkers. And it looks like Polt is going to hold this. Now, that second attack, Huk lost a lot more than he did damage with, so he's actually going to be in trouble. If this attack doesn't work, like I said, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He's being a little bit hesitant here, wants to move up, trying to target down some of those SCVs. The SCVs kind of set to block the ramp there, and with the AI, it gets a little funny when you have those SCVs blocking. Huk's units will not attack them automatically, so they just kind of bump into the SCVs. So back at home, Huk actually is starting to transition a little bit, so he's not going to go, or at least he thinks he's going to try a transition. It's going to be very difficult to do, so he has added a Twilight Council as well as a Forge. Now, luckily for Huk, Polt hasn't been teching. He just added 2 more barracks, so he's gone up to 5 barracks. He's just now starting his factory at the front of his base, as you get a shot of now. So ordinarily when you hold an attack like this, you've already got your factory up, your starports kind of finishing up, and then you start getting those medevacs out. And then your opponent gets in a lot of trouble because he doesn't have really those armor upgrades yet. He doesn't have the charge upgrade, and you've got those medevacs coming out, and it gets really, really scary. But